All right? It's a kashaf. What the extent of that exposure is, Allah knows best. But somehow I'm exposed. And this Abyssinian woman who says this to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ says to her that if you wish, I will make dua to Allah, I will invoke Allah and He will cure you. Or if you wish, be patient, falakil jannah, and you are guaranteed paradise. You know what she said? She said to the Prophet ﷺ, I want paradise, but if you could just invoke Allah, that if it happens to me, I'm not uncovered. Nothing shows from me. SubhanAllah, look at the piety of this woman. So the Prophet ﷺ, he made dua for her. He invoked Allah for her. So you are privileged because you are loved in a special way by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are an asset to the community. Not to make people feel like a liability. You're not a liability. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, this is one of the things that's mentioned that he narrates the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Hal turzaquna wa tunsaruna illa bi du'afaikum." And there's actually let me give the full context. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas felt he was more entitled to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam than others because he's so close and near to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ibghuni bid-du'afa." Find me amongst. If you want to find me amongst the weak. Because you are not given victory or aid from Allah except by the way that you treat those who are downtrodden and oppressed. If you want the help of Allah, look at the way that you treat the weakest of your society and those who are most oppressed in your society or most neglected and abandoned in your society. So they are an asset to the ummah because the way we treat people who have special needs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will treat all of us for our spiritual special needs. Okay? And it results in goodness coming to the community as a whole. There are interesting ahadith here. So there's one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, may Allah curse a person who misleads a blind person away from his path. It seems like a very simple sentence. It's a hadith in Adab al-Mufrad, authentic hadith. May Allah curse the one who misguides a person or misleads a blind person away from his path. And that's speaking to the individual, but it also speaks to the nation as well, to a community. That a community is cursed by its disregard of those with disabilities. Community is abandoned by its disregard for those who are abandoned. So it speaks to the community. So, number one, you're privileged. Number two, you are loved by Allah in a special way. Your spiritual access and your spiritual purification is just as important as everyone else. You are competent. You are competent. This is a very important one here. A lot of times we assume that if a person has a particular disability that they are fully disabled, and that they are completely, they are completely irrelevant. And that's one of the reasons why this is so, that disregard is justified in our minds. If a person has one issue, then you make assumptions about everything else about them. SubhanAllah, it's amazing that a lot of, if you actually sit with someone, even who has, a disability that's mental in its nature sometimes, and you recognize how special they truly are, that how much they're comprehending. In fact, they might also have a special form of comprehension. Just as they have a special form of disability, they might have a special form of comprehension. Or if a person is blind, that doesn't make them worthless in society. If a person is deaf, that doesn't make them worthless in society. You assume all of these different things. It's interesting because I was reading some writing from Muhammad Ali, may Allah have mercy on him. One of the things Muhammad Ali said, he said that people, because he had Parkinson's and it was very advanced and he lived a long time with it, that at the end of his life he actually wrote, he said, people assume that my mind is also deteriorated, but it's not.